the Exodus and the tales of conquest in the book of Joshua, and instead views the narrative as the Israelites' national myth. 64. However, some elements of these traditions do appear to have historical roots. 65, 66, 67. There is debate about the earliest existence of the kingdoms of Israel and Judah and their extent and power. While it is unclear if there was ever a united kingdom of Israel, 68, 69, historians and archaeologists agree that the northern kingdom of Israel existed by ca. 900 BCE, 70, 169, 195, 71, and the kingdom of Judah by ca. 850 BCE. 72, 73. The kingdom of Israel was the more prosperous of the two and soon developed into a regional power. Winking Sad Smiley. 74. During the Omride dynasty, it controlled Samaria, Galilee, the upper Jordan Valley, the Sharon and large parts of the Transjordan. 75. Samaria, the capital, was home to one of the largest Iron Age structures in the Levant. 76, 77. The kingdom of Israel was destroyed around 720 BCE, when it was conquered by the Neo-Assyrian Empire. 78. The kingdom of Judah, with its capital in Jerusalem, later became a client state of first the Neo-Assyrian Empire and then the Neo-Babylonian Empire. It is estimated that the region's population was around 400,000 inches. The Iron Age. 79. In 587/6 BCE, following a revolt in Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar II besieged and destroyed Jerusalem and Solomon's temple. 80, 81. Dissolved the kingdom and exiled much of the Judean elite to Babylon, beginning the Babylonian captivity. 82. The defeat was recorded in the map of Israel and Judah in the 9th century BCE Babylonian Chronicles. 83, 84. After capturing Babylon in 539 BCE, Cyrus the Great, founder of the Achaemenid Empire, issued a proclamation allowing the exiled Judean population to return to Judah. 85, 86. Classical Antiquity. The construction of the Second Temple was completed c. 520 BCE. 85. The Achaemenids ruled the region as the province of Ya'ad Medinata. 87, which had a population of around 30,000 inches. The 5th to 4th centuries BCE. 70. 308. In 332 BCE, Alexander the Great of Macedon conquered the region as part of his campaign against the Achaemenid Empire. After his death, the area was controlled by the Ptolemaic and Seleucid empires as a part of Syria. Over the ensuing centuries, the Hellenization of the region led to cultural tensions that came to a head during the reign of Antiochus IV, giving rise to the Maccabean Revolt of 167 BCE. The civil unrest weakened Seleucid rule, and in the late 2nd century the semi-autonomous Hasmonean Kingdom of Judea rose, eventually attaining full independence and expanding into neighboring regions. 88, 89, 90. Masada Fortress. The location of a 1st century Roman siege. The Roman Republic invaded the region in 63 BCE, first taking control of Syria and then intervening in the Hasmonean civil war. The struggle between pro-Roman and pro-Parthian factions in Judea led to the installation of Herod the Great as a dynastic vassal of Rome. In 6 CE, the area was annexed as the Roman province of Judea. Tensions with Roman rule led to a series of Jewish remaniements, resulting in widespread destruction. The First Jewish-Roman War, 66-73 CE, resulted in the destruction of Jerusalem and the Second Temple, and a sizable portion of the population being killed or displaced. 91. A second uprising known as the Bar Kokhba Revolt took place during 132-136 CE. Initial successes allowed the Jews to form an independent state, but the Romans massed large forces and brutally crushed the rebellion, devastating and depopulating Judea's countryside. 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. Jerusalem was rebuilt as a Roman colony, Aelia Capitolina, and the province of Judea was renamed Syria Palestina. 96, 97. Jews were expelled from the districts surrounding Jerusalem, 98, 94, and joined communities in the diaspora. 99. Nevertheless, there was a continuous small Jewish presence and Galilee became its religious center. 100, 101. Jewish communities also continued to reside in the southern Hebron Hills and on the coastal plain. 94. Late Antiquity and the Medieval Period. With the transition to Byzantine rule under Emperor Constantine, early Christianity displaced the more tolerant Roman paganism. 103, 104. With the conversion of Constantine in the 4th century, the situation for the Jewish majority in Palestine became more difficult. 99. A series of laws were passed that discriminated against Jews and Judaism, and Jews were persecuted by both the church and the authorities. 104. Many Jews had emigrated to flourishing diaspora communities. 105. While locally there was both Christian immigration and local conversion. By the middle of the 5th century, there was a Christian majority. 106, 107. Towards the end of the 5th century, Samaritan revolts erupted, continuing until the late 6th century and resulting in a large decrease in the Samaritan population. 108. After the Sasanian conquest of Jerusalem and the short-lived Jewish revolt against Heraclius in 614 CE, the Byzantine Empire reconsolidated control of the area in 628. 109. 3rd century Kfar Barum Synagogue in the Galilee. 102. In 634-641 CE, the Rashidun Caliphate conquered the Levant. 105, 110, 111. Over the next 6 centuries, control of the region transferred between the Umayyad, Abbasid, Fatimid Caliphates, and subsequently the Seljuks and Ayyubid dynasties. 112. The population drastically decreased during the following several centuries, dropping from an estimated 1 million during Roman and Byzantine periods to about 300,000 by the early Ottoman period, and there was a steady process of Arabization and Islamization brought on by non-Muslim emigration, Muslim immigration, and local conversion. 111, 110, 113, 79. The end of 11th century brought the Crusades, papally sanctioned incursions of Christian crusaders intent on wresting Jerusalem and the Holy Land from Muslim control and establishing Crusader states. 114. The Ayyubids pushed back the Crusaders before Muslim rule was fully restored by the Mamluk Sultans of Egypt in 1291. 115. Modern period and the emergence of Zionism. Jews at the Western Wall in the 1870s. In 1516, the region was conquered by the Ottoman Empire. It was ruled as a part of Ottoman Syria for the next 4 centuries. In 1660, a Druze revolt led to the destruction of Safed and Tiberias. 116. In the late 18th century, local Arab Sheikh Zahir al-Umar created a de facto independent emirate in Galilee. Ottoman attempts to subdue the sheikh failed, but after Zahir's death the Ottomans regained control of the area. In 1799, Governor Jazza Pasha repelled an assault on Acre by troops of Napoleon, prompting the French to abandon the Syrian campaign. 117. In 1834, a revolt by Palestinian Arab peasants against Egyptian conscription and taxation policies under Muhammad Ali was suppressed. Muhammad Ali's army retreated and Ottoman rule was restored with British support in 1840. 118. Shortly after, The Tanzimat reforms were implemented across the Ottoman Empire. Since the existence of the Jewish diaspora, many Jews have aspired to return to Zion. 119. The Jewish population of Palestine from the outset of Ottoman rule to the beginning of the Zionist movement, known as the Old Yishuv, comprised a minority and fluctuated in size. During the 16th century, Jewish communities struck roots in the four holy cities Jerusalem, Tiberias, Hebron, and Safed, and in 1697, Rabbi Yehuda HaKazid led a group of 1,500 Jews to Jerusalem. 120. In the second half of the 18th century, Eastern European Jews who were opponents of Hasidism, known as the Perushim, settled in Palestine. 121. 122. The First Zionist Congress, 1897, in Basel, Switzerland. The first wave of modern Jewish migration to Ottoman-ruled Palestine, known as the First Aliyah, began in 1881, as Jews fled pogroms in Eastern Europe. 123. The ensuing May laws of 1882 increased economic discrimination against the Jews, and restricted where they could live. 124. 125. In response, political Zionism began to take form, with some of its activists founding movements such as the Belu and Lovers of Zion, while Leon Pinsker published the pamphlet Auto-Emancipation, 1882, which urged Jews to seek national independence. 126. 127. Theodore Herl is credited with founding political Zionism. 128. A movement that sought to establish a Jewish state in the land of Israel, thus offering a solution to the so-called Jewish question of the European states. 129. In 1896, Herzl published Der Judenstate, the Jewish state. The following year he presided over the First Zionist Congress. 130. The Second Aliyah, 1904-1914, began after the Kishinev pogrom. Some 40,000 Jews settled in Palestine, although nearly half left eventually. Both the first and second waves of migrants were mainly Orthodox Jews. 131, although the second Aliyah included socialist groups who established a kibbutz movement. 132, though the immigrants of the second Aliyah largely sought to create communal agricultural settlements. The period saw the establishment of Tel Aviv as the first planned Jewish town in 1909. This period also saw the emergence of Jewish armed militias, the first being Bajra in 1907. 2 years later, the larger Hashima organization was founded as its replacement. British Mandate. In 1917, British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour sent the Balfour Declaration to Lord Rothschild, a leader of the British Jewish community, that stated that Britain intended for the creation of a Jewish national home in Palestine. 133, 134. In 1918, the Jewish Legion, a group primarily of Zionist volunteers, assisted in the British conquest of Palestine. 135. In 1920, the territory was divided between Britain and France under the Mandate system, and the British-administered area, including modern Israel, was named Mandatory Palestine. 115, 136, 137. Arab opposition to British rule and Jewish immigration led to the 1920 Palestine riots and the formation of a Jewish militia known as the Haganah, the defense in Hebrew, as an outgrowth of Hashima, from which the Irgun and Lehi paramilitaries later split. 138. In 1922, the League of Nations granted Britain the mandate for Palestine under terms which included the Balfour Declaration with its promise to the Jews, and with similar provisions regarding the Arab Palestinians. 139. The population of the area was predominantly Arab and Muslim, with Jews accounting for about 11%. 140. and Arab Christians about 9.5% of the population. 141. Jews and Arabs in grim struggle for Holy Land. Article from 1938. The third, 1919, 1923, and fourth Aliyahs, 1924, 1929, brought an additional 100,000 Jews to Palestine. The rise of Nazism and the increasing persecution of Jews in 1930s Europe led to the fifth Aliyah with an influx of 250,000 Jews.